Usual start is always McDonald's Richmond. Stopped off there for breakfast, met up, discussed the route, and then we headed off Bellsline Road until we got to Clarence, which is just before Lithgow. Turned off at the Zigzag Railway car park and took the old Bells of Line Road. Went down about a kilometer, and then we turned off along the power lines and took this little trail down to the Zigzag Railway, and we realized halfway through that the track had got washed off, and although it was more trouble, it was still quite a slow trip down. And then once we got right down to the bottom, we realized that the track had been overgrown and it's not meeting that, so we really couldn't continue. We turned back and headed back up. Right throughout the trip, we took a lot of care not to stress the vehicle too much, especially the suspension, because we are still on stock suspensions, although we had alternate tires on two other vehicles. So we turned back, headed back up, and regrouped and decided to take another route. We then headed off Old Bellsline Road, which is track, pretty good, well graded. Went down that road, maybe about 5-10 kilometers down that road. We got to a little tea trunk, took a left and took one of the trails. The trails are quite narrow, and so we had to make our way very carefully, just not to stress our suspension too much. And there was quite a few places where the road was washed away, it was bad, and we didn't know the depth, so we were very, very, very cautious as to how we proceed. The first little bit was very slow, because there was a lot of bikes around, and then the road also was washed away, so we took a lot of care and proceeded very slowly. Things are really good. We just proceeded along slowly until we got to this clearance, which was at the power lines. Ishi, as usual, excited, and then we had a bit of a drop down. Once we got on, we took a look. It was alright, vehicles could manage it, so we went down that trail along the power lines. All three vehicles, Madhu and Baji, got off so that they can film it, but they had to walk back up, sadly. But it was still, nevertheless, fun to drive for the boys who drove. So we headed down the track quite cautiously, once again being conscious of the suspension, and Vaji and Madhu stayed back so that they can video the whole trip down. And then unfortunately they had to walk back up. They were not very happy, but still for all we got some excellent shots. The bad side of that was the next time we had to get off, they made sure they stayed in the cars. To be honest, this track was not so steep. Going down was harder than actually coming up. On our way back from Lost City, we encountered a similar area, but that was much more steeper than this. And we actually didn't want to do it, so we avoided that. But this was not too bad. Once we finished the climb, we had a few other turns and we went on a couple of trails. As you can see, the 2019 fires had its effect here, but it's really great to see the forests going back. And there were also lots of guys on bikes who were doing these trails. There was a lot of mud and some places were pretty steep. We gave the bike guys a lot of room because we were going really slow. And then we also had to stop at a couple of points just to figure out how deep some of these potholes were. We really didn't know how deep they would be, because given also the fact that the roads, there were so many little roads that had been made out by previous guys, especially four wheels. So we were not sure how deep they would be. So at some points, Madhu or Vaji or myself, we got off to take a look as to how deep it would be. They turned out to become pretty simple ones, which we realized, but still for all, we had to be careful. It was a good day to be out. point that we had to be across the road and we had to turn around and backtrack and try to look for an alternative route. Voila, this was the place, Lost City. Amazing sight. It's so beautiful. We got some good photos of the jeeps stacked up. Sadly, it was a cloudy day, so we couldn't get too many good photos. Could climb up this. It was a really worthwhile walk and a good time here. We couldn't have lunch here as well because it was very, very windy. And post lunch, we got going again to Blackfellow's Hand Cave. Again, the road was very muddy. There was much more water. And because the roads were wider, we could actually manage the track a little bit more easier. Although we were cautious, we just made sure that we just kept going, and it was a good drive. The turn-off to Blackfellow's Hand Cave Road was very unique. That place was really nice, very shady. There was rock on one side and then trees on the other, and it was very mystical. We drove pretty slow to enjoy a little bit of the drive, and we was not seeing oncoming vehicles, so we were very slow. caves itself are really nice, really worthwhile visiting. There is a couple of imprinted hands that are there, well preserved, very nice. And then we had to head back home. So once we got to the tar road, which is not very far, got our tire pressure